and start relocating companies into the area.
Police Sergeant Michael Troisi from the 23rd Precinct in the Upper East Side of Manhattan was at work that day. He led 8 men down to the World Trade Center. He arrived on site and began moving toward the towers.
You have a second plane into the other tower of the Trade Center, major fire.
I remember glancing up at the tower, seeing something that I just couldn't accept in my brain. And I told myself, don't look up. No.
Sergeant Troisi and his men arrived at the Twin Towers just as the South Tower started to fall.
I saw a huge cloud that had to have been several hundred feet high, rolling towards us like an avalanche. I turned and saw my 7 officers and all the other police officers fleeing to the east, which was a much better place to be. And Dave was in front of me to the south as I could see the cloud coming towards us. Dave was alone, I went to Dave. So at least Dave and I were together. He had a partner. And as the cloud came over us, we braced ourselves behind somebody else's van that was on the street. And I remember thinking angrily, I don't even know the name of the street I'm gonna die on. But the cloud quickly enveloped us, and it went from being one of the noisiest scenes to one of the quietest scenes in a split second. There was no sound.
Mike and Dave saw people exiting a subway station and sent them towards safety, and then tried to get closer to the tower site. They ran into a fireman with a broken leg, surrounded by 4 other firemen.
I don't believe any one fireman was from his company, which when you see something like that, that's a huge event, because the fire companies stick together. They're like blood. And he had a broken leg, and I was standing next to all 4 of them as he was laying in the middle, and I was with Dave. And we're like, we need to get him out of here. I said, all right, I'll help you carry him out.
The other tower just collapsed, major collapse, major collapse.
I watched as these 4 firemen, one at a time, laid their bodies across their brother. One fireman placed his body across his upper chest and his head to protect him. And then the second one followed and placed him across his torso, and the third across his hip, and the 4th across his legs. That was the most beautiful act of brotherly love I had ever seen.
As the debris settled, the police sergeant assessed the situation.
I decided to set up a command post. Just took it upon myself. We started gathering rescue equipment. I saw this one fireman. It looked like a child. I found that his name was Greg, and he was wandering, and he had his fire coat on, and he was in a total fog. And I sat him down because I could see he was lost, and I go, where's your company? He goes, they're dead. I wasn't prepared for that. I go, what do you mean they're dead? He said, they told me to wait with the truck. And then when the tower fell down, I ran in to go where they are, and they're all dead because they were in that building. And I was like, you need to stay with me.
Hundreds of first responders and thousands of others lost their lives that day.
I have no physical explanation as to why I'm here today. It's merely God said, I'm not ready. You're not done. I can tell you that 343 firemen were killed on September 11th. I can tell you 23 New York City police officers were killed on September 11th, and 37 Port Authority officers were killed on September 11th. We do not want to be called heroes. Those are fighting words. No, we are not heroes. I saw heroes and I know heroes, but we are not heroes. We're just people who did our job.
We have seen the images of fire and ashes and bent steel. Now come the names, the list of casualties we are only beginning to read. They are the names of men and women who began their day at a desk or in an airport, busy with life. They are the names of people who faced death and in their last moments called home to say, be brave, and I love you. They are the names of passengers who defied their murderers and prevented the murder of others on the ground. They're the names of men and women who wore the uniform of the United States and died at their posts. They are the names of rescuers, the ones whom death found running up the stairs and into the fires to help others. We will read all these names. We will linger over them and learn their stories, and many Americans will weep. To the children and parents and spouses and families and friends of the lost, we offer the deepest sympathy of the nation. And I assure you, you are not alone. God bless America.